How are you 25 years old racking up $40,000 in credit card debt?
I'm 26. I've been working since 17, paying for my own shit, moved out at 18, have been independent ever since. And I have $10,000 worth of credit card debt.
Stop just swiping the credit card because, yeah, it may be fun, in the moment, but literally you will regret it if that stuff, just racks up and it's, years down the line and you're still paying for that purse that you bought, 4 years ago.
I owe $30,000 worth of credit card debt at 24 years old. This is my credit card debt breakdown.
That so many more people than you think are in credit card debt.
I'm gonna keep posting about this all day because this is bullshit.
Breaking news, Americans today broke 3 levels with debt. Americans now owe $4.7 trillion in auto loans and credit card debt.
For decades, credit cards were marketed as convenience, a tool for emergencies or large purchases. But today, credit cards have become the primary way Americans survive month to month. When rent goes up, when groceries cost more every week, when medical bills show up unexpectedly. People don't have savings, they don't have extra income, they turn to credit. The average American household now has over $7,000 in credit card debt, and many have much more. But what's even more alarming is that nearly 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, even those making decent salaries. That means the smallest financial problem can push a person into debt instantly. Credit cards have become a lifeline, but that lifeline has a price.
Take this as your sign, especially if you are young as fuck. Don't get that credit card. So I'm currently dealing with a lawsuit, partake on myself, but I recently got into the National Debt Relief Program and I've been doing that, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. But this is your sign. Don't get that pinche credit card, bro. Don't get it. You don't need it. Just make your money and use your day-to-day money. You don't need that credit card. I do not need this fucking credit card. Yes, it did pay for a little bit of my school and then my school kit thing that I had to buy, but other than that, it's just been collecting interest. I haven't been able to pay because I've been unemployed, and now that I am employed, I decided to get on this national debt relief thing. But yeah, don't get that credit card, bro. You don't fucking need it. Don't get that credit.
Americans' credit card balances have hit an all-time high of more than $1.2 trillion. That's according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Overall household debt is also at a record high of more than $18 trillion. This surge in consumer debt suggests many Americans are struggling to keep up with rising costs.
I owe $30,000 worth of credit card debt at 24 years old. This is my credit card debt breakdown. I currently have 5 different credit card accounts that I need to pay off. The first one, which is the least amount of debt that I owe, would be my Freedom Unlimited card, in which I owe $1,649.99. My Capital One card, I owe $4,388.83. On my Best Buy account, I owe $6,210. On my Chase credit card, I owe $6,856. Last but not least, Discover. This is the one that I owe the most on, and it is $10,952. That brings me to a total of $30,057.68. I've looked into filing for bankruptcy, but I don't think that that's the best route for me at this time. I think that I won't qualify for Chapter 7, and I also don't think that Chapter 13 would be the best option either. There's no other option for me other than just finding other ways to make money and paying this off as soon as possible. I'm turning 25 soon, and my goal is to become debt-free and just be more smart with my money. And honestly, just never get myself back into this position.
I have a question. How much credit card debt are you in? Because for context, I'm 26, I've been working since 17, paying for my own shit, moved out at 18, have been independent ever since. And I have $10,000 worth of credit card debt. And I will be the first to admit that I'm not perfect. I've definitely paid off medical bills and emergency vet visits and things on my credit card, but I've also bought a lot of dumb shit. But it's people my age have $55,000 worth of credit card debt. Do you see how my eye's twitching? That shit stresses me out. $55,000 is my take-home salary from my last job. I think I'm just morbidly curious on what gets you to the point of $55,000 worth of credit card debt. Also, who gave you $55,000 worth of credit in general? Like, not to mention, my credit usage, way high. Like 90 something percent. So my interest rates, 30%. Like, the interest would make me want to throw up.
Credit card companies are making record profits right now. And there's a reason. Interest rates are higher than they have been in decades. Many people are paying 20% to 30% interest on their balances. So even if you only owe a few $1,000s, the debt multiplies quickly. Let's put this in perspective. If someone has $5,000 on a credit card at 25% interest and they can only afford minimum payments, it could take years to pay off, and they may end up paying more than $10,000 total. This is not an accident. The system is built this way. Banks actually benefit when you can't pay your balance in full. They want you to carry debt because that's how they earn billions in profit. So while Americans struggle to afford basic necessities, banks are posting record earnings. One side is drowning, the other side is cashing in.
This might just be a privileged question, but how are you 25 years old racking up $40,000 in credit card debt? Do you not see how absolutely diabolical that is? It really is not that hard to just simply not spend the money that you don't have. Obviously, if you're using it for things that are important like gas and groceries and rent, that's a completely different story. But you're literally just racking up and spending this money on whatever you want. And now you're in thousands and thousands and thousands of debt that you're going to be in for the rest of your life. And trust me, I know what it's like to struggle. It's not like I've never struggled financially before. But once you're about to hit your limit on the credit card, that's usually when you say, okay, I need to chill out and stop spending my money on whatever the fuck I want and only spend it on things that I need. That's just common sense, I fear. And hot take, but I literally don't feel bad for these people at all.
But I have been financially not doing great. I am a nurse. Even though I am a nurse and I make good money, I don't have money, which is the sad part because of the choices that I've made still currently and the choices that I've made like previously, like from a couple of years. I am in credit card debt, and it's this unhealthy cycle that I have been putting myself into, and this just relationship with money has just never been something that I was talked about. Lifestyle creep is definitely a thing, and especially when you are trying to make a brand for yourself, when you're aspiring to do something that you want to do. And content creation has been something that I've always wanted to do. Being a YouTuber has always been something I want to do. I've always just wanted to be on camera. I've always just wanted to make a name for myself, whether it be like through content creation, being a YouTuber, being an entrepreneur, like whatever it may be. I always felt like I was meant to do something other than nursing. And so I think for years I have been continuously like, you know, going with the trends and like, you know, buying whatever everyone else buys so that like I can post about it and like, you know, be seen. But then I get caught up with imposter syndrome of not being enough. For in order for me to become someone, I guess I was influenced by everyone else around me. So if I bought the next best thing, or if I like looked a certain way by buying these clothes, then I was gonna make an image, a brand for myself. And that turned into like so many like dumb purchases like along the way that I'm like literally paying for now. And don't get me wrong, I have been trying to get myself together when it comes to my finances, because obviously like I have money to pay my bills, I have money to like pay down the minimums on my credit cards, but a lot of the times I don't take into account like, money like for myself and money to, you know, just enjoy life. And most of the time like I'm struggling to even do that. So I think I've reached my breaking point. Enough is enough. Like living paycheck to paycheck, living with like the credit card debt and like the afterpays and everything, like I'm done. Like I'm so done. I want to be financially free. Like, I don't want to have to worry about, like, you know, if I'm gonna be able to eat. I just don't want to be in this cycle anymore, because it's like, I want to travel. I want to buy a house. I want to get married. Like, all of these things, like, it's just like, it's not possible until I take this step of paying off my debt. And not just paying off my debt, but like being financially literate and just understanding you can't always have your wants. You have to prioritize like your needs. And sometimes like I rationalize like my needs, my wants, to make them seem like their needs. And I just need to get out of this toxic like mindset. Like, it sucks. And I'm not making this an excuse, but I guess like impulsivity and like shopping addiction is part of ADHD. And sometimes I hate it. Like, sometimes I like get mad at myself for having this ADHD and is the reason why I'm in this situation. But at the same time, it's like, I need to remember, what can I do now to just like get myself out of this hole. So the reason I'm crying on the internet is to show people that, like, seriously, like, do not, like, I understand that, you know, I'm trying to be an influencer, I'm trying to be a content creator, and that goes with like promoting products, but like literally live within your means and only buy like if you have the money for it. Stop klarning, stop affirming, stop afterpaying, like stop just swiping the credit card, because like, yeah, it may be fun like in the moment, but literally you will regret it if that stuff like just racks up and it's like years down the line and you're still paying for that purse that you bought like 4 years ago. Life is too freaking short for us to be paying money on stuff that we bought like a couple years ago. Life is too short for us to be paying for materialistic things. Instead, we should be paying for experiences, for like adventures and whatever it may be, like for new life like chapters. And I don't know, buying the next best thing is not worth your mental health. Buying the next best thing is not worth the emotional and financial burden that you're going to experience if you can't pay it off right away. If you're watching this and you are also in the same boat, like, you are not alone. This stuff is hard to navigate, and not a lot of people like talk about the realness about being in credit card debt or like even student loans. Like, I don't even want to think about like the student loans that I have and like my car loan. Like, that's another thing in itself. But if you're watching this all the way through, the one thing that I can say is that if you're going into 2025 with debt, specifically credit card debt, please make a plan to like get out of it, because I know I am, because I can't do it anymore. It's not cute anymore to just put it on the credit card or like, I'll do some installment payments. It's not cute anymore. You're gonna continue these habits, and it's gonna take you so much longer to, one, pay for it, but two, unlearn those habits of impulse spending.
This level of debt is not sustainable. People are starting to fall behind on payments, defaults are rising, banks are tightening lending, more Americans are being pushed into financial crisis, and if interest rates stay high, the situation will get even worse. We are looking at a potential wave of bankruptcies, repossessions, and financial collapse among everyday working families. This is not just an individual problem, this is an economic warning.
I really wish more people talked about the fact that so many more people than you think are in credit card debt. You're starting to look at people around you and wondering how the hell they're purchasing luxury cars, going on these lavish vacations, buying luxury items like sunglasses, designer purses, things like that. It's credit cards. They're in credit card debt. Especially the kids that you went to school with and they always had the newest iPhone, the newest clothing, even drove like a luxury car. Their parents are in credit card debt. I just feel like it's not talked about enough and no one is real about it. I consider myself to be a very independent woman. I have a good job. I make a decent living. I've always wondered how the people around me are doing these crazy, lavish, luxury, expensive things and wondering why I can't afford it as someone who also works very hard. It's credit card debt.
US credit card culture is crazy, so here's a 101 breakdown of the American credit card rigmarole. First of all, you need to have a credit card in order to get a credit score. You cannot build a credit score without a credit card. You need a credit card in the United States to do important things like financing a mortgage to buy a house or financing a loan to purchase a car, i.e. two of the ingredients in the classic American dream. The better your credit score is typically translates to lower interest rates and better payment terms for these big loans. But even if you're not looking to buy a big ticket item, your credit score still might be checked for things like renting an apartment. Your landlord will essentially want to know if you're going to be a financially responsible tenant. And your credit score will be used as an indicator of how likely you are to pay your rent at all and on time. Basic credit card scores range from 300 to 850, and good scores are generally considered anything above 700. By the way, when you get married in the United States, your individual credit scores will stay separate, but if you want to open a joint account or buy a house together, both of your credit scores will be looked at. So people joke, but not really joke, that when they're getting into long-term relationships, one of the early questions they ask people is, what is your credit score? Like, it is that important for long-term financial success in the United States. Okay, honestly, it kind of just gets crazier from here. Your credit card score is based on a lot of different factors, including how many cards you have, how long you've had them, how frequently you pay them back on time, etc. You can request your credit report, which will have your credit score on it for free once a year from 3 different big credit bureaus. If you're an American, you might recognize these names. They're Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So here's a quick reminder on how credit cards work in the first place, and essentially how they are trying to entice consumers to spend money that they don't have. You get a credit card, you spend money on it, and let's say you spend $100 in a month. At the end of that month, we'll say month 0, you will get an account statement that says your balance due is $100. And that amount is due 1 month from now. So we'll say month 1. This means that you don't need to have $100 in your bank account when you made the purchase or when you get your account statement, but you do need to have $100 in your account 1 month later to pay back your credit card company. If you know that you have $200 in your bank account in month 0 and then you spend $100 on your credit card in month 0, you know that you can pay that balance down in full in month 1. And if you only spend what you have on credit cards, you are golden. Non-Americans, if you're wondering why people would spend money on a credit card when they have that money in their bank account, we're getting there. But first, if you are not able to pay that $100 back in month 1, then you start accumulating interest on that $100. This is where credit card companies make money. They rely on people using credit cards for money that they don't have. They are hoping that you will not be able to pay that back in month 1 so that they can charge you super high interest rates. And it is just so wild to me how necessary a credit score is here and how aggressively credit cards are pushed onto consumers. Like, I'm back in the US right now, and I was last here several months ago, and I always come home to a pile of mail that is mostly credit card solicitations. This time, I think I came home to 10 solicitations, 2 from credit card companies, 2 from airline companies that also have their own credit cards, multiple requests from some of these companies, all trying to get me to sign up for their credit card. It's crazy, and I can't turn them off or make them stop or go paperless because I'm not signed up for this. They get your address and they will send you physical snail mail solicitations for life. Another aspect of the US credit card culture is that these companies will try to get you to sign up for multiple cards. They don't care if you already have 1 card or 3 cards. They want you to have their card as well. And this is because companies, including airlines, including clothing brands, including Amazon, they will give you perks for using their card. These could be miles on their airline, cashback, or points that you could spend on different types of rewards like gift cards or hotels. They are all trying to entice you to sign up for their credit card so that they can be the one to profit off of you when you have credit card debt. Okay, we're getting to the end of this, I promise. What is so interesting to me about this is that since I moved to France 8.5 years ago, I can really see and feel the difference between the US culture, which entices consumers to go into debt, and the European culture, which doesn't. In the US, I have had the extreme privilege to be financially educated on how to responsibly use credit cards, and I do have 3 credit cards that I use for different types of purchases. In Europe, or at least in France, credit cards don't really exist, at least not in the same capacity as they do in the US. In France, I have 1 debit card that's connected to 1 checking account, and that's it. I am never encouraged or tempted to spend beyond my means because I literally can't. I just have my debit card. It is a huge mental shift to exist in a country that so aggressively pushes debt and even essentially requires that people open them up to the risk of debt to achieve this magical credit score that lets them do these other things. And in Europe, that mentality is just not there. From my experience, you are not trained, you are not educated, you are not pushed to spend beyond your means. Debt is not this glorified nor essential thing that that everybody needs to have. I think it's also quite normal for people to not really realize how strange a situation might be until they're removed and put into a different situation. And for me, a big part of that was moving abroad and leaving the US and being like, wow, that is really crazy how it works over there, because it doesn't have to work like that. It doesn't work like that in France. It's definitely a very significant cultural difference. All of this is based on my personal experience. I am not a financial advisor, but I hope this helps people outside of the US understand a little bit more about the absolute circus that is the US credit card culture. Because if you don't grow up here where this is completely normalized, it must just sound really, really weird from an outside perspective.
If you guys have no debt and 10 grand in your bank account, and what I mean by no debt, no credit card debt, okay? If you don't have any bad loans, student loans, you have no debt, and you got 10 grand in your bank account, you are doing better than a massive portion of our country right now. Massive portion of our country right now. The average American right now is somewhere between $7,000 and $8,000 of credit card debt at a 29.99% interest rate, $8,400 of negative auto equity. I can't remember off the top. I don't want to quote the student loan payment. It was pretty high. The average student loan payment, you take it across the board. The average American's finances are disgusting right now. Awful. And we're at the most expensive time we've ever been at in history.
I was never taught financial responsibility, and at 25, I accumulated $12,000 in credit card debt. And now at 27, I'm completely credit card debt free, and my credit score went up 200 points. So here's everything I've learned along the way that wasn't taught to me as a child, and I had to learn when I put myself in this hole. So number one, credit cards are a resource. You should not be using a credit card unless you have that money in your account to pay it off every single month. I understand that there's situations like emergencies, whatnot, but I got into the trap of thinking that my credit card limit was money that I would have. I thought that I could spend $3,000 and I would just be able to pay it off no problem. Once you start racking up those numbers, you're only paying off the minimum and you're accruing interest. You are going to put yourself deeper and deeper into that hole. However, I look at credit cards as my resource because I use Capital One. It's one of my favorite credit cards right now, where I use my credit card for certain spendings and I earn back points through traveling, through Capital One shopping, but now I'm sure to pay that off. If you are struggling with debt, I highly suggest that you lock your credit card so you're unable to spend on it. I locked my cards, I stopped spending on them, and I focused on the avalanche method, which is my next tip. So you can either use the avalanche method or the snowball method to pay off debt. I personally like the avalanche method because interest rates on credit cards are disgusting and they will get you. So what I did was I had 2 different credit cards open. So I transferred one of my highest interest debts to a no interest credit card that allowed me to pay it off within 15 months. I paid this off in 12 months. Now with my other card, it was still high interest. So I focused on the avalanche method of paying the max amount possible to the high interest credit card and paying off the no interest credit card slowly. I just wanted to get rid of it, so I chose the avalanche method. Number 3, you need to learn how to live under your means. I got caught up in this life where I thought money came back to me and money did this. I was not working hard enough for that money to come back to me. I was being irresponsible. I was living above my means and doing things that I shouldn't have been doing to put myself in a good financial place. When you have credit card debt, you need to revert back to living under your means and paying off as much as you can. So I learned to be a minimalist. I stopped the overconsumption. I would use products all the way until they were empty. I wouldn't have multiple of the same makeup products. I wouldn't go out and buy clothes for an event. I was wearing the same clothes I had, and I took like a year off shopping. I did not shop for anything. I lived so below my means because my priority was to pay off this credit card debt. That is so hard in the era of overconsumption. If you struggle with this, I urge you to get off social media and realize you don't need everything that they're selling to you on their Amazon storefront. Number 4, say no. Say no to plans. You're gonna have to say no to vacations. You're gonna have to say no to that $1,500 trip up to the mountains. I know it sucks, but think about the fact that this is just a year or 2 of your life, maybe in a couple months, and you will never have to go through this again once you pay it off and you become responsible. Now, with that being said, one of the things that I tried to do in the beginning of paying this off was work on savings at the same time I was paying off my debt. I don't recommend you do that. Now I've learned to pay off your debt because it's not a flex to have thousands of dollars in a savings account when you have thousands of dollars in debt. So what I've done now that I am completely debt free is that I have switched all of my savings account to high yield savings accounts where I accrue, I think it's 4.6% APY. So I'm accruing interest every single month for my balance in there. Now I have multiple different savings accounts. I have my 401 and my Roth IRA through work. So that's already taken care of somewhere else. Then I have my standard checking account, which is where my deposits come in, where I'm paid. I have a separate checking account, which is for my auto expenses. These are student loans. This is rent. This is utilities. I separate out that money right away every single time I get paid. Then I have 3 savings accounts. One of them is an emergency for, God forbid, any emergencies, job loss, whatever, 4 to 6 months worth of expenses. I have a car fund because I want to buy a car outright. I don't want a car payment. And then I have vacation sinking funds, shopping sinking funds. So doing all of this, the emergency fund is your safety net. The car fund and the other sinking funds are basically already putting money aside every single week. So when I want to go on that expensive vacation, when I want that expensive treat, whether it's a bag, clothes, I already have the money there for it. I'm not pulling out my money from my paychecks because I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. I want my money to earn me travel points. I want my money to earn me more money. You have to be smart with your money to make it in this world, and that was something I was never taught. So I hope that this helps someone else, and I hope that it reminds you to never accrue credit card debt because it is one of the dumbest things that you can do in your life.
The truth is, America has changed, and most people didn't notice it happening until they were already caught inside of it. This country, once built on the promise of opportunity and a better life, now leaves millions of people fighting every single day just to survive. The idea of the American dream used to be built on stability, dignity, and the chance to move forward. But now, that dream has been replaced with something else: a constant struggle against rising costs, shrinking wages, and a financial system designed to keep the average person trapped in debt. Debt has become the new normal. Not debt for investment, not debt for education, not debt for building something meaningful, but debt just to eat, debt just to keep the lights on, debt just to make it to the next month without losing everything. And that is the tragedy of where America stands today. Millions of Americans didn't fall into debt because they were irresponsible. They fell into debt because the system around them pushed them there. And once they fell, the system refused to let them climb back out. We live in a country where the price of groceries goes up every week, where rent rises faster than paychecks, where medical bills can destroy a family overnight, and where an unexpected expense, something as small as a flat tire, a sick child, or a broken appliance, can be the difference between stability and financial ruin. When the cost of living becomes too high, people turn to whatever lifeline is available. And for millions, that lifeline is a credit card. But what began as a lifeline has turned into a chain. The banks know exactly what they are doing. The system wasn't built to help people, it was built to profit from their desperation. And the more people struggle, the more money the system makes. Every time someone is forced to put groceries on a credit card, a bank executive gets a bonus. Every time someone pays interest on a balance they can't escape, the system celebrates. Every time a family sacrifices a meal, postpones a medical appointment, or skips a bill just to avoid falling deeper into debt, someone else is getting richer off of that pain. This isn't just economics, this is exploitation. The narrative that Americans are simply bad with money is one of the greatest lies ever told. It shifts blame away from the system and places it directly on the individuals who are suffering under it. It tells struggling families that their pain is their own fault, that if they just worked harder, things would improve. But people are already working harder. People are working 2 jobs. People are working overtime. People are driving delivery shifts late into the night just to earn enough to breathe. And yet it's still not enough, because the problem is not effort. The problem is not discipline. The problem is not personal failure. The problem is the system. The system is failing the very people who keep it running. The cashier who works long shifts to feed her children. The warehouse worker whose body aches every night. The teacher who spends their own money on supplies for their classroom. The nurse working 12-hour shifts but still drowning in student loans. The retiree who worked their entire life and still cannot afford medication. These are the people being crushed by credit card debt, not because they made bad choices, but because the system is built on their struggle. Every dollar of debt is a story of sacrifice, of fear, of survival. The parent who uses a credit card at the grocery store because they don't have enough cash to feed their children.
The young adult who can't start their life because they're trapped under debt from day one. The family who falls behind just once and never catches up again. These are not signs of personal failure. These are symptoms of a nation in crisis. And while the people struggle, the corporations thrive. The banks report record profits. Executives take home million-dollar bonuses. Politicians argue about budgets while real families are choosing between food and electricity. The system rewards the ones who cause the harm and punishes the ones who endure it. This is not accidental. This is not coincidence. This is design. The system keeps people tired because tired people don't fight. The system keeps people busy because busy people don't question. The system keeps people scared because scared people don't resist. And that is how debt becomes control. The more debt you have, the harder it is to take risks, to move, to dream, to start over, to demand something better. Debt doesn't just drain your bank account, it drains your energy, your confidence, your hope, your belief that things can ever get better. Debt takes away your future. But here is the breaking point. People are reaching the limit. Millions of Americans are emotionally exhausted, financially drained, mentally worn down. They're realizing that no matter how hard they work, no matter how much they